Hello. This was one February morning, really nice morning when my friend called, and he asked if I could take a look at one project as a project management expert, because they are struggling. So I said, yeah, why not? And the next day I was out for the customer side, and I talked to the customer people, and I could see they are really confused. They are really confused about the project. So their main question was, should we continue with the project, should we continue with the vendor, or should we stop the project entirely, because we don't trust the vendor anymore. So what they had the usual stuff. They were implementing software solution called ERP to automate the business processes. And they had, right now, budget overruns and the time deadline overruns already. And I said, yes, okay, I will take a look. So they gave me a pile of emails, correspondence printed out, for me to see how their relationships with the vendor is. And also they gave me a 1,000-page document specification for the product that needs to be developed. And I took it, I went home, and basically I was ready to make a judgment based on project management best practices. So, what did I saw? I saw this dark, gloomy waterfall, divided in analysis and design, development, UAT, and all the other stuff that needs to be done to go live. So far they have done analysis and design, which took 10 times more time than they have planned from the beginning. And what I saw next, they had these specifications. So in some places in the specifications they had details to the very field levels, where should be what. In other places there was just a headline about the functionality that need to be done. So basically that was useless, even though on the time spent. They had big communication problems. I didn't read any of those emails that they gave me, but I understood from the pile that there must be a communication problem. And also what I felt during some conversations within the team was that the vendor and the customer, they are on different sides. The vendor just wanted to deliver software, whatever it is, but the customer, of course, wanted the software to work for the purpose, which was to deliver on the new business opportunity. And there were no project management best practices or any practices in place. And the project manager himself, he was also a developer, also an architect. So you can imagine how that works out. So I suggested them, okay, looking at all the situation, Scrum is the best thing. I think it can work. So I've been to trainings, I know that's a very good thing. And they said, yeah, from all the benefits, it looks very good, right? So what they did, they took the project plan they had before, just divided it in sprints, and we also had some Scrum trainings, so talking about Agile, what Scrum is. We set up Scrum events, so they know when is each event. We set up tools like Jira to have all the sprints and boards and backlog and everything. And Scrum was up and running. And they say, we are Agile now. So, but are we? So what happened? In the beginning, it was good. So basically, they delivered the value that they were planning for some sprints. But after some time, the situation changed. So what happened actually, for the first period of time, they were delivering to one business unit. And afterwards, they started to deliver to the others. And the first business unit, they were actually not testing it properly. So they just was taking in, okay, yeah, it looks good, but we will test it when we will go live. You know, as the usual stuff, it's in 1 year, so nobody cares. But the other business units, they started to test. They started to ask the questions, and they really cared about the business value that they will get. And then it started to struggle. And the complaints came in, and then I called my friend who is very good agile coach in Riga in Latvia, and he floated in. So we went to some meetings. We found out they were super interesting. So what was the meeting about? We went to refinement session, and then this architect/developer, he was reading a specification for half an hour in monotonous voice to prove that what they have agreed half a year ago is still valid. And you can imagine how fun it was for business key users and for development team over there. So they were, and me too. So that didn't work. And it was the same for all the other meetings. So there was no transparency. The product owner didn't know what will be delivered, what they are working on. He didn't have a say what's going to be next. He didn't have a say in the priorities. So the vendor was delivering because they knew the best what is needed, and they didn't really share the information with others. There was hierarchy within the team. There was senior developer who came to planning, and he was committing for the junior developer who was back in the office because he knew what he's capable of and what he's doing. And also there was a huge communication gap between both parties, and actually within the parties themselves, because, well, they just didn't talk, they couldn't agree about anything, more or less. So we did some suggestions. We made a list of suggestions what would help them to go more to the agile approach. But what the project manager, there was a new project manager at the place already, he said, nope, we know what we do. We will change something, but it's under our control. So we will do that. Okay, but actually they didn't take anything what we said into account. And, well, my super coach, he was really confused. And we decided, okay, let them be. So they continued to work for another while, and the situation did improve. They didn't have any good solution or best practices that they could show to the team or to everybody else. And it finished that they actually asked for 6 more months to extend the deadline, and of course the budget to cover those expenses for those extra 6 months. And then I started to think, okay, what went wrong? Why it happened like that? And I understood that I have created a monster, this agile cargo called monster. So they had these trainings, they had all those meetings and everything according to the Scrum framework, but they didn't have a clue about the culture, about the values, about the mindset. There was nobody to give them this, to show them this, and to try to change it. And on top of that, there was the deadline coming. So the board was really stressed because the deadline was there in a few months and they haven't delivered anything, and the business opportunity is coming and closing in. So they asked to act. They asked for a solution. What can be done? And then, well, I came up and said, okay, we have done a lot of recommendations for you, so let's try and put them into the effect. Let's do it. And the board said, okay, what the vendor has to suggest. And actually the vendor couldn't suggest anything. They were just saying, yeah, but we kind of are okay. We can continue like that. That's not a problem for us if you pay and if you extend the deadline. That's our solution, as usual. So what we did, the board said, let's stop the project, let's restart everything, let's do it the right way as the Agile should be. So I asked, this is the super coach, right, in Latvia. So I asked some guys, we formed a team. One guy was full-time with the team as a team coach. Another one and me were behind the scenes, just watching how it's going on and help. We did an assessment, we looked what were the pain points in the team, and there were 5 main pain points here, which we discovered, where the team felt uncomfortable. We removed all the backlog they had in the system. We asked them in a 3-day workshop to do a story mapping on the wall. And what we did, we actually did some mapping the first day, some extra mapping and some other extra mapping, and it was the first map in 3 days. That, of course, evolved afterwards. And this was a huge eye-opener for the team, because they actually saw how big is the project, and that the part that they have done is really small, and they have a lot of stuff to do. And we also defined and helped define them the MVPs and releases, so they actually could do something, could deliver something to the deadline. We created some working agreements, some schedule of the events. We did the Scrum board, which was also a good thing, and it worked in couple with Jira. Here they had a transparency, how they actually work on in the weeks. We did a roadmap with the sprints, what features should be delivered in each sprint. And we also create a risk matrix and impediment board to communicate within the team, within the business, and to the board, which also was very helpful because the board we had board stand-ups twice a week where we talked about impediments and risks that are in the project and what help do we need from management. And it was really good. We had a good support from management. We had some issues solved pretty fast and some not so fast, but it was good. So how do you think? Did it work this time? Maybe. Let's see. So remember this picture, right? That was the confusion level they had. So nobody was happy about anything, more or less. All the agile things, they were unhappy. In a few months, we made them comfortable. We tried with different approaches, with facilitation and everything, and team coach, he was really excellent, and he approached the team that they felt comfortable about the most important things. We also did some assessments for Scrum Master, for Product Owner, for development team, for Agile maturity, to help them grow to the level that they seem comfortable, that they wanted to grow to. We did some agenda shift assessments to make sure, well, to look how we did, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good, actually, except for the balance of the work, of the team, of the workload, but that we solved a bit later. So was it a success? We had 2 success criteria. First one was MVP pilot go live for a small amount of operations, let's say so, on the 1st of April. And yes, we did it. And actually, business didn't struggle at all during the go live. The second was full-scale go live for all of the business in the 1st of June. And yes, we did that as well. We also asked the users what they think. So the product owner said, yeah, it's a success. Well, that was it. It's a success. The key users said, we have the software that actually does what we want. And the board said, well, we thought there will be big issues. We knew there will be big issues about going live with the project, but actually we didn't expect that it won't be so many issues. So basically, they were surprised that it went so smooth. So my key takeaways about this kind of transformation or just change or restart of the project is, the first one is to have a common goal for the team. For this, there's a vendor and the customer, and they were both separate teams fighting for separate goals. And it took a lot of time to make sure that they have actually a common goal and common understanding where they want to go and make them as a team. And stop this, it's you or it's your fault, it's our fault, it's your fault, all the time fighting about that. Have the visualization. So that helped a lot. They had used Jira before, but all the visualization on the walls, we tried to visualize everything basically. Some of that was not so efficient or needed and died lately, but there were some new visualizations that they put on the walls later. And it helped a lot for a team to realize, to do some meetings, to do stand-ups and refinement sessions. Collocation. This was a unique chance for us to put all the developers and the business in one room. So around 10 to 15 people, depends on the time, were in one room, in the same room, working more or less all the time together. It's not so possible nowadays because we have a lot of remote workers, but that was a good chance, and we used it. Define MVPs, don't do everything in the same time. It's really popular for ERP software to deliver everything in the same time because it's so interconnected. But we proved it can be done differently, and just with the smallest thing, with the MVPs to go live, to prove that this can be done, that developers can deliver, and the customer, that they understand then the developers understand what the customer wants. And the last one is have somebody from outside or get him inside who knows what is Agile, what are the Agile approaches and best practices like Scrum, Kanban, and so on and so on. And don't do it yourself after 2 days training. Have somebody who can teach you, who can facilitate you, who can coach you through this project and through this transition. So that was my experience, and I will be here for more questions afterwards. Thank you very much.